I just solicited some Grant and Tony's mailbag questions in the 1067 The Fan YouTube chat. So if you want to go there or on social at Grant H. Paulson at Funny Danny, you could send some questions in. Generally during the off-season of football on Fridays to wind things down in our final segment at 6 p.m., we give you a mailbag. It's a Q&A. It's an Ask Us Anything, if you will. It can be sports, can be non-sports. Get to know us, get to know the show, behind the scenes, whatever you got. So you can send those in at Grant H. Paulson, at Funny Danny, in the chat, wherever you want to. We will answer those questions for you.
We actually had to make sure that Darius could still sing. We didn't know. I mean, it's been so long, off season. I know he had like the whole vocal cord thing. He'd been singing on tour for a while, and it was kind of shredded because he has to reach all those high notes. He's like Steve Perry, formerly of Journey, and we haven't heard it yet. We don't know if he's going to be able to sing. He sings each one live each time we come back and ask another question. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I would stay tuned for that. We don't know what it's going to sound like.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
See if those pipes still work. See if he's still got it. The question ESPN posed about the Commanders, 32 teams, biggest question for every team going into the offseason. I was surprised by this. I thought it would have to be Daniels related, have to be health related. Then I realized, okay, well, you just had the two coordinators announced. Maybe it's more about the coaching staff, Dan Quinn, the hot seat that is warming under his butt. None of that. Can the Commanders build a strong defense in one offseason is the question. They write, Commanders started the defensive rebuild. The process is underway with the hiring of Durante Jones as coordinator, but they need a talent boost as well. Over the past two seasons, Washington's combined 24th in scoring defense and 28th in yards allowed per game. They're top 6 in available cap space, and they have the number 7 pick, so they have the opportunity to get better. The Commanders need an impact player or two. They need youth along the front, as only one rotational player was under 25 this season. That's crazy. Strong defense with a healthy Jaden Daniels at quarterback can lead to a quick resurgence, which I think most of us would agree to. But it's a good question. Is one offseason enough to get a lot done? I would say look at the Patriots last year, yes.
Yeah.
Look at the Seahawks last year, yes. Not that they went from bad to good, but they went from really good to special. Those are the teams that spent the most and the fourth most money. Go out and get a edge at number 7. Get yourself a corner. You can pay money for that. Get yourself a Mike linebacker in free agency. And just like that, I just made you a lot better.
Formula's pretty simple to me. I would spend money on the non-premium positions because those are cost-effective. What I mean is, if you're going to go into the free agent market for a defensive end, for a wide receiver, for a cornerback, oftentimes a left tackle, that gets really expensive really quickly, and there goes all your cap money. You can upgrade at the linebacker position for under $10 million. You can upgrade at the safety position, as they've done a couple times. I wouldn't say upgrade. They've replaced that person, if it's not going to be Caleb Downs in the draft, for, not much more than you pay the punter. So that's where I would use my free agency time. Draft-wise, that's where I would try to generally draft my premium position guys. That's quarterback, left tackle, wide receiver, corner, pass rusher, etc. So you look at the linebacker market, for example. Bobby Wagner, I think, is one of the more expensive guys coming off of last year where he made $9 million. Whether you do that or not, TBD. But you can find, as you said, a Mike linebacker in that field that's going to be a bit of an upgrade, that'll be much younger, et cetera. Or you can, give the mantle to Jordan McGee. But it's a long way of saying this is an easily upgradable, not to a top 5 unit, but to a middle-of-the-pack group with a little bit of spending.
A, they have the money and the pick, but B, they're so bad that any adjustment, any tweak, any addition of talent that you make is pretty stark. I mean, they just did not have good players. It's one of the reasons why I thought this was a bad job. I mean, Durante Jones, thank goodness, took the job, who's a Flores disciple, and maybe he has a lot of success. But this is a person that had never been a defensive coordinator. So, of course, you're coming home, you're in your backyard, you went to elementary and middle school, miles from Northwest Stadium, and you hadn't gotten the DC job that you probably had earned at different points. He is about as good as you're going to do. And I happen to think they did a nice job here, but they couldn't get the guys they wanted. Ulbrich didn't end up becoming available, but Brian Flores was not leaving Minnesota, and Raheem Morris talked to Dan Quinn. He mentioned that in his press conference that they had difference-making defensive players. So, yeah, they got to do a lot better. At number 7 overall, they're almost certainly going defense. Does that mean Sonny Styles at linebacker? I'd be thrilled. Does that mean Reuben Bain at defensive end? I would like that fine. I kind of think he's more of a D-tackle long-term, but we'll see. I think there's going to be more run stuffing than pass rushing from him at the next level. Do they go with David Bailey, who I think is the best pass rusher in the draft? Like, if they get a stud starter and then they pay for 3 or 4 new starters and 2 really good players in free agency, there's no reason they cannot be a defense in the 17 to 20 range next year, especially with this scheme, which supposedly masks personnel problems. That's the beauty of the Flores scheme, we're told, is that you don't have to be as talented when everyone's at the line of scrimmage and you're bringing heat as often as hopefully Durante Jones is going to.
You got to be smart, got to be knowledgeable, got to be able to disguise things and do what's asked of you. Whereas, that's been a struggle for multiple regimes here where guys aren't really sure where to line up. Remember, to me, the kiss of death, you already know it's over with. You're cooked. When you hear through reporting or otherwise, we're going to simplify the defense. We're going to simplify things, pare it down to let guys play faster. Doomed, pummeled, done. You can't stop anybody because you can't do the things you want to do. It means you can't do all the different stuff where Brian Flores is disguising this, that, and the other, and you're trying to pretend this guy's coming, and you got to make sure it looks a certain way before you drop off, and you don't give away your tells, etc. It becomes too complicated for guys. So you need smart players, certainly, but maybe not as talented. I'm all aware of that, and I'm in. But to me, this is, I guess my general view is you just can't be the worst. And I talk about that all the time in sports. I understand when guys are injured, when guys aren't as good, or you have fill-ins going. You're not going to be as good as you were when the star is playing, etc. You just can't be at the bottom. You cannot be the worst for multiple years in a row. It's so easy to be okay. It's really hard to be great. Really hard. You got to get everything right, and all those guys got to be healthy. You look at Seattle's defense. It's incredible what they just did. But you get a couple injuries here and there, and maybe that doesn't happen the same way. You replay the season over again, etc. I mean, to me, this is such an inexcusable failure over the last couple of years that we glossed over it year one because they went to the NFC title game and Jaden Daniels and the offense was great. But you just can't be that bad. I guess that's my only threshold is can't be terrible.
Grant and Danny on the Fan. Next, Chris Sims went in on Dan Quinn's hiring of 2 first-time coordinators. We talked about that at the start of the show. But he did also acknowledge a point that seems to have some merit, which is it's odd that Dan Quinn is not going to have any ownership over the defense. You have a defensive head coach. You've had a bad defense. And now they're going with a completely different scheme, and it seems like Quinn's going to be uninvolved. Is that the best way forward here? Should Dan Quinn be doing it that way? Do we like that he delegates the way that he does, or should he be more involved? Let's get into that next on The Fan.